What's up guys, it's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with another video in my Warframe series for beginners and new players. And today we're going to be talking about how you can farm up some early mods that are pretty decent for your Warframe when you're first starting out within the first couple of planets within the game. Now a lot of people have been asking me for a video like this, watching some of my other beginner guys asking me, how I'm getting mods for my Warframe early on in the game. So I figured I would take a look at this. Now before I used to suggest doing excavation missions with the drills, but there's been a few issues with those lately. I was trying to do one the other night and I noticed that none of the enemies were actually spawning in that carried the power supply that you needed to keep the drill going, and it just led to a very long and frustrating experience. So tonight we're going to be talking about a different type of mission, and what we're going to be talking about are going to be spy missions. Now I used to not like spy missions very much, but since I've started playing Warframe again, and since I started with my free-to-play account, I've noticed that spy missions can be a great way to actually get some early good mods, even some gold quality mods, right when you're starting out. And there's going to be two missions in particular we're going to be talking about, one on Earth and one on Venus, that should be fairly easy for you to unlock if you're a new player to the game. Now one thing I do want to tell you, probably noticed in the background of the video, is there's one thing you're going to want to get before you start doing this, especially if you're going to be doing some of the Corpus ones, is you want to make sure you get the cipher blueprint and you start to build some ciphers to put into your inventory, and then make sure you actually equip those into your gear wheel when you are in the armory with your Warframe. Ciphers can come in real handy when doing these. And it's just going to be very important to make sure that you have those. It makes things a lot easier, especially if you goof up in the mission once or twice. There are different tier spy missions you can do. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and each one is going to have corresponding rewards that get better as you go higher and higher. The two missions we're going to be talking about today are both tier 1 missions, and that's mainly because we're doing this for beginners and newer players to the game. And basically there are 3 vaults in each one of these missions. There's a vault, B vault, and a C vault, and you're going to go in and you're going to have to decipher the password on them in order to unlock. You'll see that in some of the gameplay that's going to be coming up in a minute. But basically the first vault has a chance to drop you some credit cash, endo, or some basic level mods, and you usually have a higher chance of getting those in the first vault because there's less items you can get, so it's a higher percentage chance. The second vault is always going to give you a relic, kind of based on the tier you're on. So for the two we're doing today, you're going to be earning lith relics, which you can then use to try to farm prime parts, which is something we can go over later on. But this is definitely a good way to farm up lith relics really, really quickly, because you have a 20% chance of getting one of 5 different relics. And given how fast you can run spy missions, especially the one on Earth, once you get the pattern down and remember where all the security systems are, it's very easy to run these very quickly and farm up a lot of relics and farm up a lot of mods. The third vault is going to have a chance to drop blueprints for the Ivara Warframe. She's one of the stealth Warframes, so she's pretty cool. You get one from the tier 1, one from the tier 2, and one from the tier 3. And it's random. You have about a 9% chance of that dropping within the third vault. Third vault's also going to have much better credit cash awards, and then it's going to award you some of the better mods. Just for example, on the tier 1 third vault, you have a 9% chance of getting mods like Volcanic Edge, which is a status mod, which gives you 60% heat and 60% status chance, which is really good for status builds. There's a Vicious Frost mod, which gives you 60% status chance and 60% cold damage when it's all fully leveled up. You can get the Serration mod, which is a very basic, it's your rifle damage mod, which is very important to get early on. You'll actually see me get that in the Corpus spy mission we do later on. Reflection, Parry, Metal Auger, which adds punch through for rifle damage. Very, very good mods. And then you have Hornet Strike, which is also available, and that's a basic pistol damage mod, which can really boost the damage of your secondary weapon. So it's very important to do these spy missions, I think. They've actually become my favorite source of farming early on in the game, because you can unlock so much stuff that's pretty good very easily. Plus you're also going to get mods from killing the enemy mobs within each mission. Now you don't have to do that if you can get through it without killing them. More power to you. That's going to speed up your runtime. But when you first start doing these, it's important to kind of go slow and learn the map and learn each one of the rooms where there's a vault, so you can go in and not trip the alarms, not set off the enemies, and give away your location so that they then start the data purge. Basically what that is if you go in to do one of these vaults and you trip a security camera or a laser line, or you alert the enemies to your presence and they sound the alarm, there is going to be a purge that starts to happen, and you'll have a set timer, 45 seconds, 30 seconds. It's a lower amount of time depending on the difficulty of the mission you're doing. So when that timer starts, if it gets to 0, you fail that vault. Now you can only fail, I think, on tier 1, I think you can fail 2 and still complete it with getting 1 vault, but that kind of negates the whole point of doing it, because then you're not going to get 2 of the 3 items that you normally would. When you get into the higher end vaults, sometimes you can only fail 1 vault, and then if not, you'll fail the entire mission and have to abandon it. But for these purposes, especially on these early ones, we want to be going for all 3 vaults, which is why I say take your time the first couple of times through. The one on Earth with the Grenier is going to be at the Cambria location, and it's going to be the exact same vaults every single time. They may be in a different order, but it's going to be the exact same room and setup for each time. So after you do it 2 or 3 times, you should get a very good idea of what you're dealing with, and then you can start to really farm it very quickly. And once you get it down pretty good with these, even with your early level Warframe and your early level mods, you'll be able to run through this 5-6 minutes max, and you can just sit here and farm this and farm it and farm it and farm it until you get those some of those dual status mods and get the serration for your rifle. If you took like the Mark 1 Bratton, that's going to help you out a lot. And it's just really important to just get it down the pattern and just run these. You can get a lot done very, very quickly. And you'll get some of those Ivara parts that you can sell if you get duplicates. And then you're going to get all the stuff, all the crafting materials, the credits, and all the other stuff that comes along with just farming the missions. So this has become one of the most effective ways that I've actually found to just getting early mods early on. So I wanted to share this with you guys, especially since a lot of you guys are newer to Warframe, and you're probably looking for a way to get some good mods early on. Now the Corpus mission is going to be on Venus, and these are the first 2 planets you unlock, Earth and Venus, which is why we're going over these particular spy missions. It's going to be on Unda. The Corpus missions are a little bit harder, and really there's not going to be much difference in what you can get to drop from each one. So if you're just looking for something to do quickly and effectively, I would stick with the Grenier mission on Earth at Cambria. The Corpus mission is going to be a little harder. There's level 4 and 6 enemies versus level 2 and 4 on the Earth one, and the Corpus in general can be a little bit more difficult to deal with than the Grenier because they've got the shields and the Moas running around trying to knock you down. Plus the puzzles and the things you have to go through to get into their vaults are a little bit more difficult. There are laser grids you have to avoid that are moving. There are security cameras. There's all kinds of things that make it a really big pain in the butt to try to get through their vaults flawlessly, which is why it's important you have the ciphers. Especially on these lower tier 1 vaults, having the ciphers you can just blaze right through things. You can trip off a laser wire, and it's not even a big deal because you just run right in and use your cipher, and you automatically decipher the end puzzle. But you want to get in good practice of not doing that, because when these get into the later game, these are going to be much harder to do and much harder to go through, getting flawless on all 3 vaults. So it's good to practice early on and get good habits for spy missions. Just learn their basic functionality and learn how to get through them, because when you're progressing further and further through the game, you can get some really, really good mods. And as you go up in tier difficulty on these spy missions, they're going to offer better and better things. Like when you get to the tier 2, you know, the 3rd vault is going to offer Mesa relics, which allow you to run much harder prime part missions. It's going to have the Ivara chassis. You're going to get some really good mods, like Scattering Inferno for shotgun can drop in some of these, Metal Auger, Rhyme rounds, and again, these are all dual mods that you can use for your weapons later on. The tier 3s, when you get into those, that's going to give you the Ivara blueprint and the Ivara neuroptics, so you can finish building her out. And you're also going to continue to get Mesa relics and Neo relics, and also some really good gold mods there as well for your pistol and rifle and everything else. And there's some great shotgun mods that drop on these too, so it's important to just farm these as you go through and just keep on doing them, even when you're getting higher in level, when you're advancing to new planets. The tier 1s are going to be on Mars, Earth, Phobos, Mercury, and Venus, so all your early planets you'll have at least 1 spy mission you can run. But like I said, since it's tier 1, it's all going to be the same rewards dropping, so you're better off just running that one on Earth over and over and over again. I know that can get boring, but you know, in 30 minutes you should be able to run it once you get it down, you know, 5 or 6 times, and by that point you should start having a pretty good base list of mods to use on your Warframe and your early starting weapons, so that you gain a little bit of a boost in power. And then when you move up to tier 2, you're going to be looking at Jupiter, Ceres, Saturn, Europa. So basically the second phase of planets you start unlocking as you get into the mid game. And those are going to give you some better weapons as well, and some better mods and things. So overall, it's just important to keep on doing these. And then when you get into the tier 3, those are going to be on Sedna, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. There's some other stuff like the Kuva Fortress and the Luau, but we're not going to get into that because that's a little bit more advanced for endgame. But really, pretty easy concept. And like I said, I used to suggest doing the excavation missions, but those seem to have a lot of issues lately if you're running them, especially as a solo player. Now I'm doing these spy missions all solo on my base level Excalibur, with just the base level weapons equipped, the Leto, the Mark I bow. So really nothing special here. And I think the Mark I Paris is the other weapon I'm using just for video purposes to show how easy you can do these first couple missions without even really having any mods on the weapons. But like I said, this is going to be an easy path for you to get some good mods early on. So spend some time farming these spy missions on both Earth and Venus when you're first starting the game. It's going to teach you how to play through them, that you get get comfortable running the spy missions. And as you unlock better Warframes later on in the game, like Loki and Ivara, if you're lucky enough to get her, these are stealth frames which can make these spy missions go even more quickly. So that's very important to try to get some of those Warframes if you want to continue to focus on spy missions as you go through. And you can also play, there are going to be Fisher missions that you can do spy missions on those as well, and you can actually get some a little bit better rewards when you do those when you're farming those prime parts. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful, especially for some of you new players. And I just kind of wanted to get back into things with my Warframe series here, and kind of got back into the game this weekend. I had taken a break for about 2 to 3 months and got back into it and played around quite a bit. I just basically formatted my Excalibur and a bunch of my beginner weapons and just started over playing through some of the early stuff so I could kind of get a hang of the game again, to be able to talk to you guys about it. So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.